I think we all want to have the matrix moment, and that experience is actually doable. You can achieve that experience, and you don't have to be superhuman to do it, and you don't have to kill yourself to do it. I really need a little motivation, and motivation works best if it's in a beaker. If you pull an all-nighter, you are the equivalent of a drunk, would be considered drunk. Yeah. My wife and I had 3 children all at home, all natural births. It was that last birth that got her hooked on oxycodone that resulted in her suicide. You and I were speaking earlier about imposter syndrome. And I know a number of women that I've worked with over the last decade who have said, yeah, I have imposter syndrome as a mother. Like, I don't know that I'm doing it right. I'm not confident that I'm doing all the right stuff. We also are looking for third-party validation to say, are we doing this right?
And I unfortunately couldn't deliver naturally. So I ended up having 3 C-sections. I had 3 kids in 4.5 years. This was a massive depletion on my body. After my 3rd child, that postpartum got progressively worse. That's when I kind of went downhill in the pit. But it was over a period of years, took a long time to come back out. But I think that as well is because of how much is being depleted, right, in terms of my own kind of micronutrient sufficiency on the back end of all those years of work. That's what I put it down to.
No, that's thank you. That is, my wife and I had 3 children all at home, all natural births. And it was that last birth that got her hooked on oxycodone that resulted in her suicide a decade later. And it was that she found, as you talk about postpartum depression, I think that's kind of the overall term that we use on that. Well, there are so many factors involved in that, so many physiological, neurological, and then of course the mothering instinct as well. And you and I were speaking earlier about imposter syndrome. And I know a number of women that I've worked with over the last decade who have said, yeah, I have imposter syndrome as a mother. Like, I don't know that I'm doing it right. I'm not confident that I'm doing all the right stuff. I don't know whether the fact that I have a job as well, I have a career as well as raising children, if that's the right thing to do. All of these factors that we're these plates that we're spinning, and we don't know how to quantify that and say, okay, and we also are looking for third-party validation to say, are we doing this right? And, maybe we don't go to therapy or whatever, but for Tish, it was oxycodone, which was given to her by our midwife of all people. They gave her 4 oxycodone because she tore. She was also very small bone, small hip. And our last baby was born on in front of a fireplace on an Italian leather couch. It was a great birth. But in fact, she grabbed my hand. She grabbed my hand as she's pushing, and the baby kept crowning but not coming out. And she finally goes, she looks at me, and at the top of her lungs, she screams, "You're getting cut." That was a revenge at the last moment. But
I think the obscenities that come out of many women's mouths, to be honest, that's why I'm laughing. It's like a lot of bad things come out at that point.
Her very churched mother was there as she's dropping the F-bomb left and right to try to get this baby out. Anyhow, it was that. But when something can biochemically or neurochemically affect you in a meaningful way during an event like that, and in this case it was oxycodone, because she tore a lot. They wanted to do an episiotomy. She said, no, I had one on the first birth. I don't want to go through that again. And so she said, I'll just tear. And they gave her the oxycodone, and she found her muse. That painkiller, which affects so many areas, right? The opiate receptors in the brain and other factors, was so strong that it kind of became her new partner in crime, and it sent her down a spiral. And the next decade, that she spent any of her spare time looking for sources of the drug and how to get it. So yeah.
So sorry to hear that. I think it's so tough on women, right? And I think that we probably don't get enough support either for it. That's the thing.
Absolutely. And the hormonal shift that occurs during pregnancy and post-pregnancy are not addressed at, I don't think, a meaningful level at all. I mean, you have to be careful, from lactating and what you're giving to the baby, but there are micronutrients and micro prohormones that you can take, pregnenolone, DHEA, and those things you can take in micro doses that will make a radically improved benefit to the mother, if they're done right, if they're done in the right cycles and those things. And I'm not a doctor. This is not a prescription, but I think it's really important that women take that into account, get blood tests immediately, have a guide, have a Sherpa through this event, because it's not a 9 to 12 month event. It's the next 2 to 3, 5 years of managing your health, managing your hormone levels. You talked about omega-3s, super critical, DHA levels, EFA levels. If you don't manage and optimize those, you're going to be in a poor situation. And you'll notice one of our biggest challenges as human beings is we inherently lack self-observation. If we're in busy, if we're working hard and we're working often, we don't get the time to reflect. We can't go onto a mountaintop and meditate for a week and figure out who the hell we are, and then come back into society and integrate. And so it's really important to have resources, whether it's people, it's a community, a group of people that you like. I think you've got a nice, strong community of people of women who are especially oriented towards what can we do to radically optimize our health and wellness so that we can be more effective in life. And it's the frog boiling problem. We don't see our degradation of our performance and our life happening until we're way, way down the line. And then we're trying to recover, and we're recovering from a place of weakness instead of one of strength and clarity.
I couldn't agree more. And I think you're absolutely right. I think we don't recognize it. And I know in my own case, it was, ultimately hospitalization that led to me having that breakthrough moment in the end, because I had kind of created this prison in my mind where, I wanted to take my own life, but I didn't want to leave my kids and my husband, and I didn't know what to do. And